Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, well, last night, I usually record my videos around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So 6, 7 o'clock at night on a Monday night is when I recorded the budget video. And since I had 2 videos going up on Tuesday morning, I had that one scheduled for Wednesday morning because, they had until the end of the week to get the budget done. Well, I saw this morning at work that they were going to vote on the budget this afternoon, so I advanced the debut date of that video for today at 10 in the morning. Now, mind you, that was one of the 2 videos that was going to go up tonight, so it's like, okay, now I'm scrambling. I thought I was only going to have to record 1 video tonight, but now I get to do 2. And I was hopeful that, I don't know, the news cycle might provide me a little bit of fodder, and the news cycle did not disappoint. Oh, so where shall we start? I know, let's start in Congress. Let's start with the House, and then we'll move on to the Senate. So in the House schoolyard fight, there was a House rep. Let's see if I can get his name real quick here. The House rep from Tennessee, Kim Burnett, was talking with an NPR reporter about the budgets and such. And they're in a hallway, and McCarthy walks by with his security detail. And I guess he just decided to throw an elbow into Burnett's back around where the kidneys are. Which, I've not been kidney punched, but from the way Burnett was describing it, it doesn't take a strong punch to cause quite a bit of discomfort and pain, which is why kidney punching is actually illegal in boxing. You're not allowed to do it. So Burnett's like, what the heck? And went chasing after McCarthy. And it's like, oh, what'd you do that for? And they got into a verbal altercation before McCarthy walked away from things. The NPR reporter, for what it's worth, on the website that was formerly known as Twitter, posted up that that was a real thing. She was talking with the guy, all of a sudden he lunged at her, and she thought it was like a prank or something, but realized the reason why he lunged is that he had been hit from behind, and he kind of was trying to sort out what happened, realized McCarthy was there, and said, that guy's a jerk, he did that, and then he went taking off after McCarthy. So yeah, and then in the Senate, we've got a Senator Mullen from Oklahoma, who's an MMA fighter and I think a former wrestler, getting into it with the Teamsters head during testimony in a meeting being chaired by Bernie Sanders. And I guess the Teamster head and this guy have been trading barbs over social media for the past few weeks or months, and O'Brien is the Teamster head, basically called the senator a stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and basically said anytime, anywhere, I'm down for it. So the senator, who's an MMA fighter, is like, well, how about right here, right now? And they started changing insults, and the senator stood up, get ready for a fight, and Bernie's trying to remind him that he's a senator and there's something called decorum. But all this, McCarthy's a chicken shit, and Mullen is just a thug. It's one of those things where McCarthy, he's like Malfoy. He sneaks a blow in when he's got Crabbe and Goyle around him, knowing that there's no retaliation possible. And this other guy, Mullen, he's kind of like the bully that's bigger than all the other kids, so he knows he can win any one-on-one fight. Now, just from pop culture reference, I would say challenging the head of the Teamsters to a fight might be a short-term win, but that might be a long-term loss. Given the relations with the mob that the Teamsters have allegedly had in the past. You might be able to beat up any 1 or 2 guys at the same time because you're a badass. But if there's 5 of them and they're armed, you might take a couple out, but they'll take you out. All right, McCarthy. What the heck was McCarthy thinking? Why did he do that? Well, I know why he did it, but why did he do that? mind you, this is one of the 8 people that voted McCarthy out. And, they're talking about passing the budget, the same, using Democrats, which is the same thing that got McCarthy out of his job. And funny, because it's the 8 of Cups, too. So McCarthy is still bitter that these 8 people voted him out. And so he's out of the his dream job, the job he's been just wanting his entire life, I guess, which was to be Speaker of the House. He's not Speaker of the House anymore because of one of these 8 guys. So as he's walking by, he sees one of the 8 guys, and he knows he can throw his cheap shot at him, and there's no retaliation for it. McCarthy's also making noise about removing Gates. So it'll be really interesting to watch McCarthy get his exact his revenge. He's definitely going to go after Gates because Gates is a loudmouth and a lightning rod for all that. But we'll see what the guy from Tennessee has to do on that one. Crossed with the Queen of Wands. Yeah, so McCarthy's bitter about that, and he's getting ready to exact his revenge. And he's going to exact his revenge however he can do it. If he's going to walk by and poke somebody in the kidney with a stick and then say, "Oh, I didn't do anything," then, whatever. You're a coward and just a little toady. But with Matt Gaetz, he's going to really bring out the wands to level him down. Underneath it all is the Empress. Normally a great card of taking care of everybody, making sure everybody's needs are met. But I think he's planning on taking care of his own needs in this case. This is a selfishness. The Empress out of low energy is a very selfish, self-absorbed card, worried about their own personal comfort and needs and not others. So I'm guessing McCarthy he's going all ego. He's contracting. And he's going to be petty, and he's going to do petty things. In the past, we got the 9 of Coins. McCarthy, Speaker of the House, beloved, has his own office, his own pet bird. He wore the nicest dresses of all the speakers, even that Nancy Pelosi. He outdressed Nancy Pelosi because he could really rock a dress. No, he was comfortable being the Speaker of the House. He had reached his zenith, as it were. And it ended all so soon. Yep. And there's the end. And he's bitter about this because he feels like he got stabbed in the back. He just feels like, he couldn't do anything right. He could do nothing to please these people. And so they got rid of him because they could. There wasn't any logic. There was no political logic to it. And for that, I would agree with McCarthy. There was no strategy to getting rid of McCarthy. This was just literally, again, we're going to talk a lot about toxic masculinity and ego in this read. And this is just a pissing contest. Matt Gaetz and his buddies, they wielded more power than they really could in the fact that they could force a vote and enough people that would require Democrat votes, and McCarthy did it to himself. He was not an honorable person with his own party, and certainly not with the Democrats, so they didn't feel a need to save him. And rather than owning his own behavior and understanding the consequences, he just feels like he was given a raw deal. So for him, it's probably payback time. And some people say revenge is a dish best served cold. For McCarthy, revenge is a dish best done really, really quickly and recklessly. So that in case they forgot, that screwing Kevin McCarthy has consequences, he wants to make sure they don't forget that. It's so childish. This is, not a planning, calculated person. Mitch McConnell would be more the planning, cunning, calculated person. McCarthy is just wait till your back is turned and then push you, punch you in the back, and then run away. The lesson to be learned is about the relationships that you build, the agreements that you make, and no, just conducting yourself in an honorable way. McCarthy feels like he was attacked and abandoned by MAGA. MAGA feels like McCarthy promised them stuff and he didn't deliver on it, so they just got rid of him. Basically, this was a horrible relationship, a horrible marriage between horrible people, and each one is blaming the other for the toxic relationship that they were in. It was toxic from the beginning. All 15 freaking votes of toxicity. What did you expect was going to happen? These guys, immature, childish. Outcome, 9 of Swords. Matt Gaetz filed an ethics complaint against McCarthy. I don't see that going anywhere. In some ways, I think McCarthy's like, okay, 10 swords. I got my shot in on this guy. 9 swords left. McCarthy's not done. He wants to make the other guy's life nightmares. But at the same time, he really is cutting off his nose despite his face. McCarthy is, he's coming across as petty and childish. And if he's not careful, he's going to get primaried or not voted back in his own thing. His own political power is going to diminish over this. So, is the Age of Aquarius here yet? It can't come fast enough. It really, really can't. Literally, this is the kind of crap that I saw and dealt with in elementary school. Literally, elementary school. I'm not even talking junior high or middle school or high school. Elementary school. This is just not adults. This is not high cunning. This is low cunning. And now, let's go to the main event, shall we? In the Senate, we've got, Mullen versus O'Brien in a cage match. Bernie even mentioned it. People are already disgusted with Congress, and y'all are talking about cage matches. Bernie's got no time for these children. That's another reading, too. Trump's lawyer out there referring to the Trump spawn as boys and girls and children. Oh, my God. What the heck is going on? This world's gone crazy. Okay, what's going on with this beef between these two jokers in the Senate? Page of Wands. They've been effing around, and they're about to enter in the find out stage. I'm really going to focus on the senator. I'm not going to focus on O'Brien. Oh, now, to be fair, the lead of the Teamsters, he was poking the guy. He was poking him. He was poking him with a stick. But you know what? If you're a senator and you're a tough guy, you got to be a tough guy not only physically but emotionally. And O'Brien basically exposed this guy as being a snowflake, as being emotionally tender, because his only tool is, well, let's fight. So you're going to take a guy who's trained for the MMA and is younger and in great shape. He's going to pick a fight with an older guy. Not saying the old guy didn't deserve. He's poking and prodding him, and he's provoking. He's poking the bear, so he's kind of provoking him into a fight. But you're a senator, for God's sake. Start acting like it. Stop acting like you're still a teenager and you're going to settle things with your fists, like you're watching an old Popeye cartoon. God's sakes, grow the hell up. And again, of course, the MMA guy wants to get it physically. O'Brien might sit down and, okay, let's solve riddles. And whoever can solve the riddles, if O'Brien's a lot smarter. Or maybe if O'Brien wants to go to Irish history or something like that. There's lots of different ways to settle arguments. This guy's got one mode. I'm going to beat you up because I'm bigger. That hat might need to be bigger. Okay, so you got the brawn versus the Teamsters versus the money and the legacy. They were talking about healthcare. So I'm going to assume that this is O'Brien, and we're talking about healthcare and the value that the Teamsters bring to... The whole thing was about the value the Teamsters bring to common people through healthcare and benefits and stuff like this. Oh, by the way, the MMA guy is anti-union. Go figure. So, they're poking and prodding each other. So it's going to be brawn over wealth. Again, MMA fighter, go ahead, beat up the president of the Teamsters. Yeah, I'm sure you'll beat the snot out of him. And sometime later in the not so distant future, there's going to be a bunch of guys wearing masks and dark sweaters coming to your front door in the middle of the night to pay you a visit. And there won't be shit you can do about it. Oh, look at this card coming up again, just like McCarthy. In the past, focusing on Senator Mullen. Senator Mullen is, again, he's a senator now. His life has been successful. He's living comfortably, and everything's all good. And now you got this guy O'Brien in here, just sticking it to him. Mullen probably doesn't even know why. He expects, in some ways, I'm a big, strong man. You shouldn't say anything bad against me. And I think that's probably why O'Brien's doing it. Because it's like, yeah, I'm going to just say what I want. What are you going to do about it? You going to beat me up? That's a real quick trip to prison for you. Yeah, you'll get the satisfaction of beating me up, but you'll still be in prison. You'll still be a felon at that point. I almost wonder if this is Bernie. And Bernie having to deal with all this. Just Bernie feels the disappointment and betrayal from both of these people. And the fact that he even has to step in and oversee it is just flummoxing him. You're a senator, for God's sake. And it's caught on camera. Acting just completely and utterly unprofessionally. Now, Mitch McConnell, to his credit, there's no credit. He did absolutely nothing. He said, well, I can't throw babysit everybody in the Senate. You're the Senate leader. Pull your guy behind the woodshed and read him the Riot Act. I'm sure he won't beat you up, but maybe he will. Maybe that's why Mitch won't do it, because Mitch is not stupid enough to get beat up by that young man. I'm being distracted here. Focusing. Unions providing benefits for people over generations. These provide people a nice lifestyle, healthcare, stuff like that. If you had a union job, you're doing great. But there's been a lot of betrayal to the unions, a lot of union busting and stuff like that. So now Bernie's got the unions coming into the government, trying to revitalize the unions. We just had the Auto Workers Union and the Screen Actors Guild and the writers. The union members are starting to win their strikes and get better benefits. And now Bernie's trying to bring them in, sort of ride that wave, the strength of the union back. The unions are helping people better their lives, basically, in a nutshell. That's what they did by unifying and standing up as one unit as opposed to a bunch of individuals. As that collective, you're able to negotiate and get better bargains from the wealthy people in this world. It's interesting because we're talking about it, and now we got the Hanged Man. And now people might be starting to look at unions in a different way. I'm sure the Republicans will celebrate Senator Mullen's machismo there in wanting to make Mr. O'Brien a willing sacrifice. But again, a lot of attention is going to be brought to that meeting that might not otherwise have been there. And it's bringing more prominence to the union. And here's the thing. If you start threatening the union bosses, you start coalescing the unions, they will form ranks around their own, and by doing that, you're actually making them stronger, as opposed to just developing a thick skin. But if your only tool is a big stick, you want to use your big stick. So, toxic masculinity. Sorry, that reading seems a little bit out of sorts. Let me sum it up for you. Discussion about unions, insults being traded, and on the one hand, got the union and you got the guy they're trading insults. So the guy who's being insulted, he's the bigger guy, so he's going to bring the stick because he wants to treat the union guy and teach him a lesson about running his mouth. But the problem is, this wasn't a thing about unions running their mouths. This is about unions helping people, about unions being busted up, about people being disappointed with the current system and the current way things are being run. Reaganomics. We've had 40 years of Reaganomics, and all that's happened is that it didn't trickle down. It just stayed at the top. Or maybe it did trickle down, but 99.99% of the wealth stayed up top as opposed to being spread evenly. So now the unions and the government are starting to work together to help the unions out. Why? Because the unions, when they negotiate, they help everyday people. And when the union negotiates a better deal for normal America, the rest of America benefits, because it doesn't just stay in the union, it spreads out into the private sector too. So people are starting to look at unions differently. They've been vilified for years, for decades. And now, all of a sudden, the unions aren't being vilified anymore. You might start seeing the unions have a resurgence in popularity and support from the general public. And I assure you that the wealthy oil barons and such, they don't want unions. Absolutely not, because that requires extra pay, that requires health care, that requires shorter work weeks, that requires benefits and protections against retaliation, so on and so forth. Prevents them from printing money and being as wealthy as they want to be. So, toxic masculinity in the White House. In the White House, in Congress. Yeah, Joe Biden's toxic masculinity. Maybe that's one thing. Let's throw one last card on this one. This has been a rambling read. Let's make it ramble another 2 minutes. What's the spiritual lesson in today's thing? Is it just turmoil? What are we supposed to take away from this? A little short 4-carder. And then we'll call it quits. Celebrating your victories. I think the Republicans are smarting from the losses that they've had in elections this week. And now, they're forcing through a budget that a lot of Republicans don't like. And the Democrats are just winning. And the Republicans are frustrated. They are seeing their power slip. They want to rule. They don't want to govern. They want to rule. That we've seen that time and time again. And people are now, younger people and people with different opinions are coming forward and speaking out on their opinions, which is exactly what a ruler doesn't want. They don't want people to have opinions. If they want you to have an opinion, they'll tell you what your opinion is. And that the good fight is being fought. These Page of Wands, they're fighting the good fight and they're winning. They're winning against tyranny. They're winning against the establishment, the repressive establishment. And this is just the beginning. There's more coming. So I think what's happening is that, especially with this toxic masculinity, please also, this is your Age of Aquarius card here. Here come the women. And here's out with the patriarchy. They're seeing it. They're seeing it. They're feeling it. And there's nothing they can do about it. So they just act out in more brutish, simple, basic, fag, me want, me take, you resist me, me hit you with club type of mentality. Very enlightened. Not. Anyways, thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for surviving this rambling video. Thank you for all your kind words and likes and shares and everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so our video makes it out to newer viewers. To those newer viewers, welcome to the channel. I'm usually a little more concise than this, but I hope you found it informative, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.